Hello, and welcome to this year's Partners Conference. For those of you who do not know me, I am Nelson Gomez, and I head up HP's Retail Solution Sales Organization for North America. I want to thank Jeff Riley and the entire Retail Management Hero team for giving us the opportunity to participate in this year's conference. I love the theme, Partners Serving Partners. We are super excited over our success in the market, and frankly, we couldn't do it without the help of our partners like you. Partners represent nearly 70% of our business. HP continues to lead in the market with #1 ship share in the US, North America, and worldwide. This is at the expense of our competition, with double-digit growth for the last 12 quarters. This is quite amazing, given the challenging times we are all going through in the retail industry this year. Our success is highlighted by our value proposition that resonates with our customers and partners like yourself. We continue to innovate by delivering superior design with uncompromised performance across our entire portfolio. Our product portfolio allows customers and partners to choose from our all-in-one, modular, mobile, and convertible solutions. This is all based on the technology needs of the customer and/or partner. Underpinning this product line and leveraging HP's scale and investments in our personal systems, HP's security portfolio allows us to provide our customers and partners with the most manageable and secure POS platform in the world. I hope you all have a safe and productive conference this year, and in the spirit of Partners Serving Partners, we look forward to working with you and driving mutually rewarding success in 2021. Don't forget to reach out to me or your partner business manager, Craig Kavanaugh, to help you drive and deliver on your customer needs. Thanks again, and talk to you soon.
Why not add North American Bank Card as one of your integrated payments partners? Keep your existing relationships, but generate fresh interest with a new option that helps you win more business, all while amping up your payments revenue. With NAB, your RMH customers will love free next day funding cutoff at 1 a.m., a free 4G app for backup processing if internet is down, and a killer payment presentation with the PAX PX7. We own and operate the payment platform EPX. We are not a middle ISO. Expect as pure of a revenue split as there is. We'll get you started with your $20,000 fast start bonus. Find me, Stacy Carrillo, on LinkedIn.
The Retail Solutions Providers Association is North America's largest community of VARs, software developers, vendors, and distributors in the retail, restaurant, and grocery verticals. We're a fit for any organization that's serious about growth in those markets. Many companies have been members for decades, and we frequently add startup tech companies because we accelerate their growth and they see the massive ROI that RSPA membership offers. If you're serious about growth in the retail IT channel, email us today at membership@gorspa.org. Thank you very much.
Hello and welcome to the reseller panel portion of the RMH Partner Conference 2020 held online. I'm Jim Roddy, Vice President of Sales and Marketing and a business coach with the RSPA, the Retail Solution Providers Association. We have a long history with the RMH team and Jeff Riley and a lot of folks on the team. And so we're thrilled to be able to present this panel to you today. So this panel is going to provide examples of RMH resellers and customers' utilization of RMH features to support retail industry best practices. So what we're going to do is we're not going to talk so much about functions and features and product demos, but we have some leading resellers here sharing stories of how they've worked with customers to make RMH a strategic asset in their retail businesses. So we're joined today by three gentlemen: Pratik, Patel of KDPOS, Abel, Tovar of B1, and George Muchae of New West Tech. Gentlemen, welcome. Glad to talk with you today.
Hello.
Thank you.
Great. So let's start off just because not all resellers are one and the same. And if you can give the audience a quick overview of your company. Pratik, if we can start with you, talk about where you're located. You know, do you have a local, regional, national focus, number of employees, you know, verticals, sub niches inside of retail that you serve, target customers, things like that, so we can better get to know you and KDPOS better.
Okay, perfect. I'm Pratik Patel. I'm with formerly KDPOS. We actually operate under West Technologies. We have two offices. One is in Chicago and the other one's in Columbus, Ohio. Our primary focus is the liquor industry and a little bit of grocery and convenience. And we have clients mostly in the Midwest, but slowly branching out to the south by Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia. Currently, we have 11 full-time employees and about 3 part-time. And that's pretty much it. Any other questions?
Great. No, thanks for that overview. Just want to get a good snapshot of it. Abel, talk about B1, please.
So we are in Georgia. We have a coverage in the southeast. Mostly our customers are groceries, convenience stores. We've been doing this for around 14 years. And we have a development team that is been working with RMH a lot. And also we have a network security team that is watching all the networks from these grocers. So we are very excited with RMH. I think that is a great product, and we are been working with them very well.
Great. And just to understand, how many developers, is that a development team or a couple folks who really help build that out?
No,
and expand
we have a developer team, and we also working with some people overseas in South America, but that is a part that is still in progress.
Got it. Fantastic. Well, glad to have you here. Nice to see you again. You and I got to hang out last year in San Antonio, I remember, at the RMH event. So a little bit cooler here today, but rather be there in person. So, all right. And George Muchae, can you give an overview of New West?
Certainly. I am George Muchae from New West Technologies. We're a 28-year-old company. We're headquartered in Portland, Oregon. And we also have a local office here in Dallas, Texas, where I'm located. We specialize in essentially hot goods retail, and we're obviously a Microsoft RMH reseller. We also support a couple of other line of business retail applications, RMS, which is student sunsetting, and we also have a practice that deals with Microsoft Dynamics 365. As a company, we're also an ISV, so we also publish software of our own. We write extensions to retail apps like RMH and RMS and so forth, and we also have payment connectors, which is part of our other practice, which we write payment connectors for all the payment providers in North America. We service customers coast to coast, and we also service Canada and the Caribbean.
Fantastic. Great to have you here. You and I worked on a panel last year at the RMH event, so nice to talk with you again. And good to see a nice mix here in terms of the representation. So a lot of different angles, a lot of different perspectives. So, all right, so my first question, and so we'll kind of go around the horn here. And George, because Abel said before we hit record, my only advice is start with George. So I will start with you. Anything that Abel says, I'm going to do. Can you share an example of an RMH customer who's using the product in a unique way to support the business? So we'll hear from you, and then Pratik and Abel as well. So hopefully we can have lots of examples today. Can you start us off with that first one, please, George?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a very unique deployment. We service a Fortune 500 company, which when you think of Fortune 500, maybe sometimes the first thing that jumps out at you is not necessarily RMH. But they actually happen to have consumer goods that are literally in every single household in North America. And so we have deployed RMH at all their stores. They happen to have a very large campus. They have about 100,000 employees, and all the employees actually procure goods from their employee stores. So part of their practice is to be able to allow the employees to be able to try out these products when they're releasing them. Again, they have a line of almost 1,000 different products, and they're a household name. So they have everything that you probably find for cleaning solutions in literally every single household. So they like for their own employees to actually pilot their own products and provide feedback. So there is a system that they have currently that allows employees who want to participate in the program to be able to get onboarded into it. And what they end up doing is providing feedback and rating their products, and that feedback goes back to the product team. And then what they do in exchange for that is allow them to convert their time and also the points that they accrue for being part of this program to sellable, to be able to procure that as a currency for sellable goods at their stores. So RMH is essentially deployed there to not just obviously be used as a point of sale system for all the products that they sell, but they also allow it to convert and talk to their employee management system for consumer feedback into the solution so that I can actually use it as a tender. So each time an employee goes to process a transaction, it calls their profile, then it reads how many points they've accumulated, and it actually talks to in real time via a REST API that we have that interfaces with their consumer goods system, and it now converts whatever they've accumulated there into dollars that they can actually use in real time. So that is kind of a unique way of using RMH, because at a core, it's being used as a POS system, but more importantly, as part of the extended corporate line of business applications to be able to now bring their employees into this process of product evaluation and being able to find a way to reward them. So it's kind of a creative way that they came up with to use the system, and we were happy to make it happen for them.
Interesting. And can you give a little bit more color? How did you assist the customer in terms of designing, implementing, executing on this kind of creative solution? My guess is it wasn't like a easy 1, 2, 3 step do it yourself kind of thing. What kind of guidance did you have to provide? How did you make it happen?
So when they came to us, they had a siloed solution. They had Microsoft Dynamics RMS that they were using for just the retail transaction processing, and they also had this other standalone system that was basically interfacing with their employees and basically giving them all these currencies to be able to accumulate points. And then they also had this other system that they were using to manage their onboarding. So we assisted them in being able to use. They already had badge. All the employees have badges, and so we have a proximity reader which allows the employee to be identified. So once they want the employee badge, it identifies the individual, it brings up their profile, and they can now the person who's actually assisting the employee in being able to sell them stuff can see who they are, and it'll reach out to their employee management system in real time and be able to now see what the programs that they've enrolled in, how much feedback they've actually provided, how many points they've actually accrued. So all that is introduced into one UI. And they can from there say, I want to use all my points, or I want to be able to bank some of my points to use them at a future date. So what we did for them is essentially just bring these 3 otherwise siloed technology systems into one consolidated user experience. And then naturally we migrated them from RMS to RMH, and we found a way to kind of have all this live in one very simple to operate environment.
Fantastic. Thanks for that level of detail. Really, really appreciate that. So Abel, you were right. Glad to have George go first. Really did a good job breaking the ice there.
I'm telling you.
So Pratik, so George is on. I think he got a double on that first hit, so you can advance him or maybe bring him home to use a baseball analogy, since it's that time of year. I guess share an example of a time where your organization had a unique install.
Not a problem. It's very difficult to follow George up. But we actually had a client in Chicago who owns a couple liquor stores, and his biggest challenge was coming out of RMS, moving to RMH, and the market shifting to e-commerce drastically fast. So we switched them over. We integrated his point of sale solution with Drizzly, Minibar, like about 4 different drinking services, drinking delivery services, along with his own e-commerce solution. And then we unified the entire database into a central system where every order that comes in, there's a little ding that goes off at the store. A pop-up shows up with the order. That order needs to get scanned out. When it gets scanned out, the inventory is maintained. All the inventories are updated across each one of these channels, including the in-store inventory, including Drizzly, including Minibar. And this was critical because right when we implemented this, COVID hit, and the city of Chicago got completely shut down. But they did allow curbside and deliveries. So initially deliveries was tough, but just unifying the whole solution really, made RMH stick out. In fact, because of that, they've passed our information on to multiple clients saying that, hey, we're able to operate through these times just because of our point of sale system and the integrations available.
Got it. Interesting. Can you talk about the testing process to make sure that everything was working? Because it sounds like this would have some real levels of complexity to it.
Yes. So we have a small development team, the guys in Ohio, and we started with Drizzly has an API where they have a two-way integration. They send you the details. They send you the item. They send you the customer information. We fully integrated that. In fact, I missed out on one key element. One of the things the client wanted was, if a customer really likes their wines, they want to be able to track what they purchased online versus at the store. So we created a centralized customer database where anytime the client comes back and like, hey, I ordered something from you online, can you just quickly look that up? Just a really quick lookup, and boom, all the information stays there too. But you're right. So the testing, it started with one company, and then slowly another, and then another. And then now any service we want to add on, I think currently they're working with Uber Eats and Grubhub. It's just getting their APIs, getting it together, and making sure it just connects both ways.
Got it. Fantastic. And do you have like a free tab there going forward? Like, are you able to program that in that anybody in your organization can take advantage of it? Or maybe I shouldn't ask you that question in public. We'll talk about that later afterwards. So
yeah, absolutely.
So Abel, to continue our baseball analogy, I think Pratik got a really solid hit there. Though George isn't as fast as he used to be, so he's only at third base. You got an opportunity to bring both those guys in. So give us your unique installation, please, with one of your customers.
With these guys is very complicated, so I'm gonna try to hit with something simple. We have a situation we have a situation with a new client that we're working on. These guys, they sell perfumes, lotions, but every transaction is like a business between a Hispanic like me and somebody. So we are asking discounts all the time. You know, we need gonna buy this thing, and I'm gonna ask for a discount if I give you this one. So we create a program that allows the cashier to play with that discounts and that things on real time. So we are not using we are using RMH in the back end, but we are doing something real time that he can calculate the commissions and make more money. I don't know if it's clear. And I think that is very interesting because there you are working with a product that has a different profit and another one that you don't have a lot of profit, but you are overselling to the customer. So I think that it's a very interesting solution. We are right now in the process of closing this solution. I think that will be unique. We are using this in a central environment. So at the end, we had to calculate the commission from this cashier. And also, we had to save all this information in the database all the time because the customer will be able to come back, and we had to be sure that he's not going to get a different deal with the same two products. So I will say that this is a nice feature. I also will say that the loyalty for us in our customer is also creating a good opportunity. So let me give you a detail. We have a small grocery chain. They are very successful, and every time that you spend more than $100, they give you a bottle of milk or orange. So it's very interesting because you don't have to buy that. You spend $100 and they give you the orange bottle. And but that's a problem because everybody start copying the same strategy. So 1 year later, the other guy opened a store next to the other one, and they are doing the same thing. Everybody is giving you the bottle of milk or something like that. So we use loyalty, and loyalty was a differentiator for them. So we installed in October loyalty with RMH, and immediately the people don't want the bottle anymore. They want the points. And they call the Torito points. And I think that is a great idea. So it's simple, but works.
Interesting. Let me ask, did you know all of this with that, the grocery and those points? Was that something that you worked with the customer as time went on, or was that an idea that they had, or did you kind of work side by side and strategize with each other to make this happen? Like, was there constant communication on an ongoing basis to get to the end result?
Oh yeah, with these groceries, you had to speak with them every minute because they are all the time in a competitor environment. In this particular case, in October, a competitor was ready to open a store in the next block. So they need to find out something different that the bottle or the bottle, the milk or the other thing. So the loyalty was a key differentiator.
Got it. Fantastic. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Great job there. I'd say you scored 3 runs there, so as good as you can get with 3 batters. So wonderful. So let me throw this next question out to the group, whoever wants to take it first. So you talked about those unique installations, very creative ways. Can you tell us about a customer who's really become what you would call an advanced user as it relates to analytics and reporting? So can you tell us about that customer, and then how do they use RMH, or how do they use add-ons to meet those analytics and reporting needs? Who wants to go first with that?
I'll go.
All right, do it, George.
One of our first RMH Central customers was a 28-store. They're essentially a national insurance company. A lot of folks know them for managing all their travel through them. They also sell insurance, so they're heavy into memberships. So their environment is obviously a little bit unique because they're not a traditional retailer in that sense. They sell everything from anything that you need to travel with or to, whether it's booking an airline trip or a holiday vacation to the Maldives or wherever you may want to go, or just drive coast to coast if that's where you're into this fall. So what they wanted to do was essentially use RMH to be able to connect about 15 different line of business applications in the background, because they have, because they sell travel vouchers, they also a huge target for money laundering. And so they have systems that are federally managed that control all the anti-money laundering that happens. They also do currency exchange. They also sell equipment and travel plans. And they also have people who come in and just do consulting for anything to do with travel and vacationing. So what we wanted to do was give them a core solution that could actually tie into about 13 to 15 different line of business applications, and also allow them to manage their membership base. Now, when you manage such a diverse business or operation, it's touching into a lot of things. And so data and the predictability of events and the impact of weather and time and travel becomes very key. So they could be able to correlate how the weather patterns, for instance, if they had a hotter summer or a colder summer, or whether consumer spending was up or down. How did that impact travel, and how will that impact their business based on other things that are happening around? So data to them is not just a reactive mechanism for them to see how they performed, but it's really pivotal for them to be able to establish trends because they're touching consumers in a variety of ways. And so the way they consume data is in a very advanced way. And so what we did was use Power BI, and we gave them a solution that actually talks directly with RMH Central. And not only does it give them, all the advanced analytics that you could probably consume as far as retail performance, vendor performance, employee performance, store performance, and then the predictive analytics on the back end to be able to say, okay, if we did X amount of travel from this region last summer, how much do we predict it's going to be able to do this summer based on these variables that changed? Or show them heat maps where they're trying to track events that happen and see how that impacted their sales over a specific period of time. So Power BI was perhaps the only way that we found to be able to give them that buffet of reporting and data, both in numerical order, drillable data, and also analytics and graphical presentation of analytical data, to be able to give them the kind of information that they're looking to get out of their system, because now RMH happens to now be the front end of a lot of applications that are running in the background. And just being able to have that single point of reporting that is actually touching everything in the background was pivotal to how that project's success was measured.
Fantastic, interesting. Thanks for sharing all that detail. Abel or Pratik, you have an example to share, Abel?
I can share something very interesting. You know, we have a chain of groceries that have a store in different cities. You know, Atlanta is surrounded with little cities around every 15 miles, so we can say that it's a different city. But every city has a different ethnicities. So if you go to a city called Marietta, you're gonna find more people from Mexico and people from Central America. But you go to Lawrenceville, you're gonna find people from Mexico and Colombia and South America. So we use reporting. We found a way to find through the reporting what is the correct mix of product for every location. So this grocer runs a report and he knows that he has more people with this kind of products in Marietta than the one that they have in Lawrenceville. And right now we are working to put that together in Power BI so they can say, hey, let's bring the same tortilla. We're gonna need the same tortilla here and here and here, but also we're gonna need arepas, that is a Colombian product in Lawrenceville. So the reporting is a good tool for them to select the mix of products that they need. And it's very, very helpful because before they have everything the same in all the stores, and that's not the case, you know?
Got it. So allowed them, instead of saying a one-size-fits-all solution, they're able to analyze what was moving in one store, what wasn't moving in another store, and they could adjust their offering. Am I understanding that correctly?
Is that correct?
And how complex is that for them? Like, does it take a data scientist to figure this out, or are the analytics straightforward enough that they can do it on their own? You don't have to intervene with them.
At the beginning, it's a couple things, you know, it's not as easy as it sounds, because also the names of the product could be the same name of the product. It's just a different provider or different importer. We spoke with the cashiers. It's very funny. The cashiers know a lot about the customers. We use the data with the sales data. Also, we start looking what happened through the years. It's not something that you can learn one day. It's the time passed to teach you, you know, how everything behaves.
Great. Well, thank you for that interesting story. Pratik, can you share an example about an advanced user using analytics and reporting?
Yeah, it's not so much reporting, but we have an advanced user. His name is Greg. He works with a chain of small grocery stores, and these are more convenience than grocery. And the costing is a very big deal for him. So, and in our market, each product can be sold by 10 to 15 different suppliers. So what he did was he made us write a program that takes all the costing from every supplier on a weekly basis and imports it right into RMH. Then he uses a mobile app, or what our program does at that point is it determines which supplier for this week has the lowest price on which product. And these are pennies. These differences are just pennies across the board. Then what he does is he, at the store level, he takes an app around and he just walks around and scans all the items that are low in stock, comes back to the POS, hits generate, and it shoots out a bunch of POs and says that these items need to get ordered from these guys, these items you should order from these guys, et cetera, and go ahead. That little penny saving across the board is how Greg saves a tremendous amount of money across the board. He's currently switched over to RMH. He's not moved over to Central yet. That's actually happening next month. That's going to be interesting.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, thank you for that. Very interesting how you dive into the analytics portion of it and really help your customer understand their business a lot better than what their gut feel is or what they think things are, right? You're able to actually give them the numbers. What is it? In God we trust, all others bring data. And it sounds like the POS helps you fill that in. So next question we want to talk about is another example of a customer now who is challenged by inventory management and how you solve that through RMH. So I'll throw it out to the group, maybe get one or two examples of that. Who's got a good example of inventory management?
Let me jump in there. You know, as probably Pratik knows, in the supermarkets, the inventory is always a crazy challenge. More when it's something ethnic, it's even worse because the merchandise changed a lot. And also you can have the same product made in, let's say, one Mexico and the other in Costa Rica. It's exactly the same product, but the barcode is different and anything can happen. So the customer was kind of upset because before he said, I had 10 of these things and now he don't really know. So we spent some time with them and we create an app. We create an app, something similar to what he shared with us. We call it Mercado One. We did it for supermarkets. And by the way, they have a name for the app. It's called Maquinita for them. Hey, Abel, I need the Maquinita. So the Maquinita is a PDA that we work with Data Logic. We scan the items, we found the inventory, and we are able to update it right away because they don't have time. They don't have time to go back to the manager, go there on this. There is plenty of solution in the market. So what we did is we trying to reduce the time that they use, the buttons that they press, and how they do it. And I think that is interesting way to do inventory management because the RMH is very powerful. But if you don't have good data, there is nothing. So I think that was a good story for us right there.
Good. Can I ask, when you connected with the customer and said you don't have good data, did they say, yeah, we agree, or did they say, don't tell me my data is good or bad? Right? Was that something that you had to teach them, or was it something that they realized already?
I think that they realized with the time, and also they never had the resources. You expect that they had 2 or 3 guys to do this, but they are always busy, So they say, yeah, we need somebody else to help us. So they realize that they have a bad data. They realize that. Yeah, they know.
Okay, so they were feeling the pain. Pratik or George, do you guys want to share an inventory management story? Pratik, looks like you have one.
Yes, so similar to Abel, we have inventory management is never a big deal until recent because of e-commerce. Nobody maintained inventory, and now that e-commerce is there, it's just a struggle to keep up. Like Abel said, there's only 1 or 2 staff members and maybe 1 stock person who's actually inputting inventory. So some of the things we did was, going back to earlier, we're importing the purchase orders that are coming in. Instead of somebody sitting there typing it, the whole process is automated. Another thing we did is we work with state regulated stores also. So your margin is 5%, 4%. So if you lose 1 product, you have to sell another 20 to get that income back. So we created like little spot checks. So cashier's free, randomly it just tells them, hey, do a spot check. You print it out, it shoots out a receipt, you do the spot check, and then they just submit it with their Z-tapes. And what that does is it involves the entire inventory on I think it's a 90-day schedule, and that keeps, all the inventory in check, make sure that, again, e-commerce has the right numbers also.
Got it. Interesting. Well, thanks for sharing that, helping keep track of inventory. So we've only got about 15 minutes left. So let's head down the home stretch, and we want to make sure we address a lot of the areas that RMH can help enhance the customer's ability to run their organization. So George, why don't we start with you and talk about a customer who has a compelling story about whether it's information, loyalty programs, or marketing that's enhanced or supported by RMH's capabilities. I know we touched on loyalty a little bit earlier, but any one of those, again, customer info, loyalty, or marketing.
Certainly. One of the environments that we've actually found quite to be very receptive to RMH and RMH Central is the hospital-based retail operations. So we've been servicing hospital gift shops for a couple of decades, and RMH and RMH Central have actually found a good fit within those organizations. So we happen to have a few customers who are using RMH and RMH Central in those environments. Now, because they're hospital systems, in many cases, these tend to be very large employers. And so they literally have, tens of thousands of folks who are coming in and out daily because they're either coming to visit folks who are in hospital, or they're part of the hospital ecosystem, or they happen to just work there. So in many of these environments, they use RMH to also support retail centers that are facing surgery departments or children's hospitals or whatever the case may be. And a lot of those employees are there a lot. Doctors and such are there for many, many hours. And so sometimes they actually go and just get things out of convenience from these centers because they're set up like Starbucks somewhat. In some cases because they're cafeteria style, and in others they're obviously gift shops for folks who are just buying things for folks who are obviously in hospital. So the aspect that I wanted to highlight in this particular case is the way they use their employees as customers, because they use payroll deduction as an employee benefit for these hospital systems. So think of how this comes full circle for folks who live and work at these hospital centers, and they can actually go into a store and either pick up a snack or pick up their lunch or stop by and have, lunch with a family that they're already working with and talking to, and essentially spread the cost of whatever it is that they want to purchase, be it a gift or, food items, and spread the cost of that into several pay periods. And that is actually an actual employee benefit that is leveraged very heavily in these hospital systems. And we have found a creative way to leverage RMH in a sense of managing their integrated payroll deduction to be able to deliver that benefit. So that is perhaps a good example that comes to mind.
Good. Thank you, George. And I don't know if you guys could tell, I was a little distracted during George's answer. So this is part of the work from home situation. I sit right underneath a vent, an air conditioning vent, and I could see out of the corner of my eye, it looked like something floating down. It was a spider coming down. So I had to wait till the end of George's answer and then go and smash it here with my tissue. So I'm actually breaking out into a sweat, a little uncomfortable there. So, whew, all right. Well,
at least it was not something I said. I could see your reaction.
There was nothing that you said. It was good stuff. It was a spider that was freaking me out. I just hope his daddy doesn't come down and get me at least in the next few minutes here. So, Abel and Pratik, either of you have a story about customer information, loyalty management, or marketing at all to share an example, please.
I would say a couple of things. So basically, RMH comes with really good features in customization. We had some groceries that they use touch screen, and the new interface is really nice. But again, they don't have time, they don't have people, they need to do everything at the same time. So we're able to create a keypad. We create a keypad specific for the groceries with the buttons and the numbers in there. So they don't have a keyboard there. They don't need a keyboard at all. They just use the numbers to put the plug. And I think that's really good for RMH. Connect that with the other feature that you have a second display to show what you are buying. I think that is really good. I like that for the customer, and it's been a very good solution for them.
Got it. Wonderful. Thank you. And all of you have alluded to the next question that I have for you is talking about applications inside of specific vertical market. Like, you're not just talking about this is some broad general retail thing, but a lot of the lessons could be applied more broadly. So let's focus in. And Pratik, can you talk a bit about, is there a specific vertical market requirement that you've supported with existing RMH functionality? Is there something that you didn't have to do a lot of tweaking to in order to fit something inside this specific vertical? Do you have an example of that to share?
I don't get the question. Something specific?
Yeah, is there a specific vertical market requirement that you were able to support with existing RMH functionality?
Specific vertical market. Can't think of one off the top of my head.
Okay. George or Abel, you guys want to take a stab at that?
I would say that in the supermarket environment, EBT is very important. And just out of the box, RMH support EBT. So that's a nice feature. You just need to enable, and it's good to go.
Great, thank you. George, anything you want to weigh in on that?
Sure. RMH obviously has a very good stronghold on the core verticals, be it, beer, wine, liquor, be it sporting goods, be it, gift and specialty retail. So those have been, traditionally some of the low-hanging fruit, so to speak. But then we find other micro verticals within some of those verticals. Say, for instance, we service and we have deployed RMH at wineries, or folks who have, especially wine verticals, because they're servicing a very, very small subset of the market that has, they're very high loyalty-based environments, and they have a repeatability of recurring transactions because, people who buy wine oftentimes belong to, wine clubs. And so they want to be able to subscribe to a solution that they actually get, drips to them, at some level of frequency. And these are, environments that RMH actually fits extremely well because it touches on loyalty, it touches on repeating transactions. It also bolts on an e-commerce component, which when RMH is the inventory master, it's very easy to actually now control what is available and what is perceived as available in the web store, because it's a completely different channel from in-store sales. And when you have finite stock, so if you wanted to sell a specific vintage of a particular wine, if it's finite and it sells out, you want that item to drop off so someone doesn't actually buy something that they can receive. Or if you have a limited release product and you could be able to publish it, sell it in store and also online. So those micro verticals actually fit quite well. We've also found RMH to be able to service the lawn and garden industry extremely well. A lot of you probably know we have a lot of add-ons for RMH, and anyone who uses a mobile app, MMS, Modern Mobile Suite, can essentially extend the functionality of the core RMH product and essentially do a mobile device and allow them to do things like in-store transfers and make sure that the inventory is current and up to date, and also do replenishment tasks, purchase orders and receiving and those sorts of things. So those industries that otherwise would not have been touched by a product like RMH, end up now having to be a very viable micro vertical for the solution.
Great, and I
guess
guess go ahead, Abel, please.
George, you forgot to talk about the layaway. I think that the layaway is a good feature that is being used a lot. We have a fashion store that sells very expensive things, and they use the layaway a lot, and it's a very good feature. Very good feature.
Absolutely.
Nice. Very good. Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you for that. And I guess I can just, before we have just a couple more questions before we wrap up. So it seems like when we're talking about from a vertical market standpoint, you want a product that helps you open up new doors, right? It's not just the same old, or I'm only able to sell to this very small niche of folks. I guess I'll throw it out to George. You were talking about it. If anybody else wants to expand upon it, how important is that to be able to have a product that's able to open up new doors and create new opportunities for you? Is that something that you see through RMH in your history selling it?
Absolutely. Now, one thing that has obviously changed the way we think and approach markets is the advent of COVID-19. So when you think of something that is an outside factor that kind of deems one retail environment as essential or non-essential, and so if you're non-essential, then you have to find a very creative way to survive, because life has to go on. So being able to actually go into places where traditionally it doesn't seem like you would otherwise be a good fit, sometimes you have to be creative to find a way how you can take a core product like RMH, which is essentially built on technologies that Microsoft developed many years ago. Microsoft, and still they do this to this day, they write you a very great base application layer that you can essentially build extensibility to and give it a lot more legs than it traditionally could otherwise do. And so it gives you the mechanisms and the foundation to be able to say, okay, if we bolt on this component, all of a sudden now we could be able to go into a casino. Or if we, now touch this little piece here, if we add on this micro feature that is delivered via an add-on, which is really the essence of the reseller community for people like us to be able to write extensibility to a core application like RMH, we now give it an avenue to go and open those same doors that you're talking about, Jim, because you now make it extensible to where it could be used in a very non-traditional way. We have it used for charitable organizations. We have it on a lot of people who deal with donated goods, the likes of like Goodwill and Resource, because those folks, they're living in a world where 70 to 80% of their hard goods are actually donated, and then they just procure a small part of that. Being able to give them a mechanism to be able to handle what they call a production process, where they sift through all things that are donated to be able to bag them, tag them, price them, and shelve them, and be able to now drive that into revenue for the organization or the charity. That is an avenue that you don't traditionally think that, hey, RMH is going to be able to get you there. But you add a piece that we call production suite to it, and all of a sudden now it is a very functional solution for an environment such as that. So those are doors that you have to, in some cases, not necessarily break down, but at the same time, when a little window opens, and subsequently a door will eventually open, and we have the right foundation to be able to build upon, and that's a good story to tell.
Yeah, that's like the core of your business, right? If you are able to do that and find a solution to their problems, that's what's going to make sales happen. That's how movement gets made. So last question for you, Abel, we'll start with you and go around the horn. We've talked a lot about the technology. We've talked a lot about merchants, but we haven't talked about partnerships in order to accelerate from RMH. So can you talk about a time, give an example, Abel, of a time where either you helped another RMH partner with a customer opportunity or another RMH partner helped you?
I think that is one of the strengths of the RMH. You know, we have very good relation between partners. I have opportunities that I've been working with New West. Right now, we are working a very good, important opportunity with a partner in Miami, where we are doing a very big chunk of development for them. So I would say that this is really, really important. We have a good partners. We work between us. We are very straightforward. Right now, we are working in an e-commerce solution that we are looking how we're gonna do it. And so I would say that there is plenty of samples. Right now, the sample that we have in front of us is as I said before, is a perfume stores. We are doing that special feature to do the discounts, and we're gonna go together to this opportunity, and I'm pretty sure that we're gonna close. So again, I have plenty of samples to tell you about it.
Great, thank you, Abel. Pratik, can you talk about a partnership that you had that worked, either you worked for someone else or they worked with you?
Yeah, so partnerships, like Abel said, is very important in this community. People, they're very helpful. We work very closely with the Bright, and as you know, they're no longer working with the RMH product line. But my philosophy is always that if another partner has made it, try to use their product before we start writing our own, unless we absolutely need to. And I've noticed one thing. I've talked with Dan quite frequently at New West. I've talked with David Chang, talked with multiple people. No one is trying to step on each other's toes. Everyone is very helpful. Everyone's looking out for each other's growth. And I think that's key, just kind of depending on each other. Even on the payment side, there's a lot of pull on payments, like, hey, work with us, work with us. I think the most honest feedback you would get is talk to other partners and just, hey, is this a good solution? You know, I really like what New West did. We work very closely on the thesis integrations. Just depending on each other, asking questions and getting good feedback. It's very helpful.
Fantastic. I can say at the event last year, in San Antonio, really sensed that, a true sense of community and partnership among each other, as opposed to some level of competition. Like, not, if I'm going to help you, you got to pay me back right away, but this will work out in the long run. So I like how you phrase that, Pratik. So, all right, George, you started us off. You get to take us home. Can you talk about a partnership example and share it with our audience?
Certainly. And brother, thank you for some of you guys who mentioned some nice things about us. We're very dependent on the channel, and that it's really almost a must-have aspect of being able to be functional in the RMH space. And one of the things that is probably the greatest testament to the RMH community is our forum. That forum is very active, and people actually ask great questions. We have a lot of junior partners who are just starting their journey. Maybe they're doing their very first RMH store install, or we have other seasoned RMH partners who are just cutting their teeth with their very first RMH Central install. So we happen to be one of the very first partners who had several RMH Central deployments, and we have helped other partners who are up and coming just being able to get through their very first RMH Central installations. Because when you're trailblazing, you want to make sure you can avoid just some of the sharp objects that some of the guys who came before you did. And we're very happy to play that role, because we also depend on the community to be able to position some of the add-ons that we have. So it's a little bit of scratch your back, I'll scratch mine, that has just been there since the beginning of the Microsoft reseller channel development, which has been around for decades. And so we find a lot of collaborative opportunities, because we have in our solutions that we want to position with the channel, and we also need the channel to be able to respond to our products and give us feedback, so we could be able to make our solutions better. And naturally, we want to be able to create an ecosystem that is collaborative, because it benefits us all when we come together than we would if we function purely as competitors. And that, I got to tell you, when you look at the forum and just see how an individual posts a question and how many people just rally around it and provide a lot of creative feedback, and they also tell them, hey, don't do it this way, do it this way. that is a gift that you can, pay with money. And that has been really one of the most encouraging aspects about what the RMH community has become, frankly.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have today. And I'd say individually, I think Pratik, Abel, and George, you guys all did great. And I would say collectively and literally, we killed it during this session. Right? This was a momentous occasion, I think, in our channel, the first ever murder committed during a panel discussion. So you guys were there to play a role in it, and our audience was there to listen. So gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and expertise today. We really appreciate it. To our audience, thanks so much for listening to this. Thanks so much for attending today. And as we talked about in that last question, thanks for the role that you play helping everybody get better, right? It doesn't work without that ecosystem that George mentioned, with everybody working together and leaning on each other and working to get better and helping out our customers. So thanks so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoy the rest of the RMH virtual event. Thanks for your time, and goodbye, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
My name is Nancy Ramos, and I am the Vice President of Laredo Western Wear. Here at Laredo Western Wear, we pride ourselves on selling authentic Mexican Western apparel. We have been open since 1996, and our chains of stores have been family-owned since the beginning. Before using RMH Central, we used to use RMS headquarters, and the difference has been quite unique in our store. We have been able to see benefits with the loyalty program. The points that our customers accumulate excite them to make more purchases. Along with our loyalty program, we have our layaway program that we have had since the beginning to give our customers a chance to have 2 to 3 months to pay off their products. Our customers have always appreciated this benefit that we've given them, and they also receive loyalty points along with their layaways. With RMH, we've also had the benefit of using Mercado One, which is a system that has helped us with changing prices and checking inventory. It has been very beneficial for us, and we can use the device PDA to do so. Negative impact that we've had because of COVID since opening up has been keeping up with merchandise. The advantage of our new system with RMH is that we are able to see what we have in stock in other stores and quickly try to give our customers in one store what we may or may not have in another store. With change and with new technology, there will always be challenges. We face these challenges, but with the implementation of our partner B1, we were able to overcome these challenges together. As a new generation comes in the store, not only on ownership, but as well as clientele, we are excited to see these new changes and are ready for the challenges that hit in the road ahead.